When did you notice as parents that there was a problem with her health?
Mainly it was when she was about a month old. She kept vomiting and sleeping all day. She had no energy whatsoever.
And then she had a seizure, which really scared you.
Yeah, it was on the 15th of August at about 3 a.m. And she just went really stiff, fixed gaze. She was like as white as a ghost. It was really scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it must have been really scary.
So you took her into hospital.
Yeah.
And what happened after that?
It was when we got to the hospital. They didn't really say much to us, but they did some tests, and then they came back a little while later and said she'd had a bleed, and it looks like it weren't the first one. And
that's when it sort of all unfolded, this nightmare for you, because within 12 hours of getting to the hospital and being told that there was a bleed on the brain, detectives arrived at the hospital, and they said to you, Craig, didn't they, you could come voluntarily.
Yeah.
Not something you wanted to do at that point, because you had a very, very poorly sick child there.
Yeah, they said to us, you know, there's two ways we can do this, you know, voluntary to answer questions, or, you know, we'll have to arrest you. And it was just that I was saying to them that I'm not going anywhere, you know. I just want to be by my child's bedside, and as I got up, they said that, you know, we're arresting you on suspicion of GBH.
And then, so were you both taken to the station? And, and what happened there?
From about 3:15, I was put in the cells till about 11:45 that evening. We were both in separate cars and, you know, questioned separately.
And as you went from the that's Effie, we'll meet her in a moment. As you were brought, as you left the hospital, I think a nurse said to you, "Well, you must have been expecting this."
yeah, she looked at me and said, "You knew this was going to happen," but that, in a way, I felt like they were already saying we were guilty.
Before, anything had even been found out. Well, after questioning, you were released on bail, but you weren't allowed to go and see her.
No.
So she was still in hospital. She was under police protection by this point. Did you know that this was going to go as... Because they asked you to sign a care order, didn't they?
Yeah.
And if you'd have signed this, then she would have been taken away. But this is what happened anyway.
Yeah. It was only when... Because it was... They come round to my mum's house and asked us to sign a care order, and we was like, look, you know, we're not signing it.
Because you were released, after 9 hours held in a cell, then you were released on bail.
And so then they said, right, you know, we're going to take you to court, and we just had to quickly, it was the next day really, so we kind of had to, you know, get solicitors quite quickly.
And at what point did you find out that she was actually going to be taken away from you?
They didn't kind of explain that to us straight away. It weren't until the next morning that the social workers came around and said that they might have to put her in foster care while investigations go on.
And they did, and this happened for 8 months and 21 days that she was in foster care, and you were allowed some access to her.
Yeah.
Not enough for new parents, when these first years, we all know, are the most important times for bonding and all of those moments that they change so quickly. And you had 3 times a week you were allowed to go see her. And were you allowed to hold her during that time?
Yeah, we was allowed to do anything normal, just not take her out of the building.
And it was this thing that you found called EDS in particular, and this was one of the other reasons that might be responsible for this bleed on the brain. So what is EDS?
EDS, there's 6 types of EDS, and it's a connective tissue disorder. There's hypermobility, or with stretchy skin. The type that me and Effie have gives you different facial appearance and makes you look quite young and quite small, and it's quite dangerous.
And it's like spontaneous organ ruptures and things like that.
Which of course
And so you
everything.
so consulted a geneticist, and that's what it was.
Because it was actually, it's funny that the hospital, because Carla didn't know for 23 years that she had it, only when Effie became ill.
Wow.
And it was only through our solicitors, from one photo of looking at Effie and Carla, said, have you heard of EDS?
Yeah.
But you would have hoped that maybe... I mean, our hospitals are terribly busy, and they had the well-being of the baby to consider, but maybe that might have been something before you were actually arrested and spent 9 hours in a cell, that somebody might have thought of that. And so how long, once you proved that was the case, this is what it is, how long before you got her back?
We only found out she had it in February, and then we didn't get her back for another...
couple of months.
Until the weekend.
Yeah, because the court said last Wednesday, or the 26th of April, that it was all over. And then we thought, just to get everything ready, because the foster carers have been so great to Effie, we said that they could, you know, hold on to until we've got the got the house sorted. And
so what do you... let's bring her in. Let's bring Effie in whilst we chat. What, what do you think could have been done better to prevent you as new parents going through all this?
The only thing I think that they could have done a little better is maybe kept her in hospital and did a few more observations for other causes rather than just pointing the blame straight away.
And maybe social services for a chat, you say, rather than the police immediately.
If the social services came first.
Hello.
She is absolutely gorgeous. And what was it like to have her home?
Amazing.
I bet it was.
It felt so strange.
Because you have missed out on, but you missed her first Christmas and you missed her saying her first words, and now you've got a whole lifetime of memories to create with her, haven't you?
And you say that you mentioned before when we were chatting that the foster carers were amazing.
They
so
are,
much so that, I mean, it actually was quite upsetting for them to hand her back.
We've said to them that, they're more than welcome to keep in touch and to come down when we're settled and, have a cup of tea and stay in her life.
Oh, well, that's really kind of you. She's beautiful. So sweet.